Namaste, Prasanna sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So we were discussing GDP numbers
Yeah.
that recently came out, 13.5%.
That's right.
And last few weeks back, India overtook the UK as the fifth largest economy. So a lot of things are being said about these two developments, whether some are saying that okay, this is a long process that has been going on since Manmohan Singh and Narasimha Rao government brought reforms, and about 13.5% number, people are saying that it's a low base effect. Last year we had a very bad COVID second phase, this thing, and the last quarter of previous year, quarter on quarter growth, that is 13.5%, right? So that is also, that was very substandard. So people are saying, giving this credit to low base effect. So how do you see these two numbers in the current state of the economy that India is in?
Sure. So first of all, thanks for having me here. And let's give skeptics a benefit of doubt to start with. You know, our tradition is Purva Paksha, right? You should understand the other side from other side's point of view. Why are some people disappointed with 13.5? Is there is a genuine set of these investor types who were sort of expecting a 15% growth because brokerages told so. Honestly, there is no formula to figure out future. Because 2 years ago, 4 years ago, to know future, you had to know COVID.
Yeah.
And last year, to know future, you had to know Ukraine. Not only that, there's so many things, policies come, and there is no other way credibly anybody can say that whether it's going to be 13.7 or 13.6. So that type investors getting disappointed, I understand. But there is a second type of people who are disappointed with anything that comes out of India. Anything good comes, they say there is a problem with numbers. Anything bad comes, they say, oh, look, I told you things are bad. So those, you can't do anything for such kind of criticism. But let's look at the numbers objectively. The real GDP of India 2 years ago, before COVID, when I say real GDP, that is where inflation is taken out, was 145 lakh crore. And last year, which is 21-22, we ended at 147.4. So we are 2.5 lakh crore above, almost 2% above the pre-COVID levels. That means the recovery has already happened. So if you see,
and which people were saying that
will take forever.
Yeah.
At least the end of 2022, or we have done it at the beginning of 2022, and one of the very few large countries to do so. You can always find some city state somewhere, some municipality types country somewhere to say that, look, that country is growing high, or and things like that. So that itself is a big achievement in my view. Having suffered such a major shock, to come back within 2 years itself is a big achievement. That's number one. Number two, on 13.5 on this quarter. So base effect argument you can't keep using forever. Even last year, when we had COVID, year before that, when we had COVID second wave, we had grown 20%. So 19-20%. On top of it, this is 13.5%. So this every year, we can't just say that base effect. So I know 13.5 is not our potential. We may end the year with 7.5. That's what most of the projections say. That seems reasonable. But a 7% growth, if we achieve this year, that's really credible in the context, global context in which we are living in.
And that will be increasing the real GDP to
158 lakh crore. 158 lakh crore from 147, 158, 157, 158 lakh crore. And nominal GDP, which includes inflation, this year is 236 lakh crore. That's why we call 3 trillion. At 80, it's 240, is 3 trillion. That's likely to go to 276, 280. Now, if you do that 3.5 trillion, we are almost close. So people are mocking the 5 trillion kind of goal. They will, I think, will be in a shock that 5 trillion will happen. It's as if it will take ages and all that. Except I would like to add one caveat, which I always worry, because I can't just, as a researcher, I can't always be just a cheerleader. You have to be, wear your skeptical hat also, is a collapse of the rupee. If that happens, then it will take time. We, in fact, in dollar terms, we may decelerate also.
So is there a chance of that happening?
Very low probability, but one sort of warning sign that is there right now is an increase in imports. although we keep highlighting our export growth, in terms of goods, last year we did $430 billion, one of the highest. But now in the last 2-3 months, if you see, our exports have completely flattened and our imports are growing at 20-30%. So last year, our current account deficit was $38 billion. Now for your viewers, current account deficit is like the net effect of all trade and remittances, goods, service and remittances coming, except investments. That is capital account. We had a deficit of $38 billion last year. And we had FDI coming in of $80 billion. So we accumulated forex reserves last year. This year, we are likely to have a current account deficit of more than $100 billion, which is 3% of our GDP, which is fine. That's why I'm saying it's a low probability. But if it goes to like 5%, 6%, then, investments will not be able to offset this, this deficit from current account, and we will lose reserves significantly. Our forex reserves have fallen from 642 to 550 already. Every week now, like last year we were seeing going up, now it is falling down.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah, it is fine, right? 550 is very good. We are comfortable. Our external debt is $620 billion. All debt, not government. Government, private together is 620. 550 we are fine. But that's why I'm saying, as of now, there is no problem. But if this continues, fortunately with crude price falling, we should be fine. But I can't completely rule out, that will be, as I said, will be a cheerleader's job. Yeah. I should look as a researcher. So that's the only worry. So if that happens, then we'll be in trouble.
And what are the reasons that why our import bill has significantly increased? Is it only due to Ukraine war? And second, why our exports have flattened out? Because the real difference that matters is exports minus imports, right?
Yes. So for imports, Ukraine war is largely responsible. So our crude imports from 100 billion, I think we'll do 150 billion. Out of 670 billion of our goods import, 1/4 is crude only. So 40-50 is done there itself. Another 50, we are also seeing a lot of imports of electronic goods and machinery, which is actually not bad. That means it is creating jobs here. If you get, instead of toys, if you get machinery, that will create jobs here. So that way, from a long-term perspective, growing country should import more than it export. When you export, you are sending your savings out. When you import, things are coming. It's not, again, that...
what you are importing also matters.
What you importing matters. If you import just gold or toys and all kinds of stuff, which don't create jobs.
Only for consumption.
Then there may be a problem. So I think I'm not worried about 3%, which is there right now, which is fine. But if it becomes 5%, if there is something else going on, if we become habituated to importing more and if we cannot grow our exports, then there is a problem. Then the currency will be under stress. RBI will not be able to defend such. When the fundamentals are against you, you won't be able to defend. RBI can only tame volatility, but cannot control direction beyond a point.
And what are the reasons why exports?
As you know, the growing world, developed world is in trouble. And they are increasing their interest rate. They are trying to cool down their economies, having artificially pumped money into the economy. Last time, when we discussed, we clearly said that reason why you have inflation in India and reason why you have inflation in developed world. That time both had similar inflation rates. We also had 7.5. They also had 7.5. Are different. And we are likely not go up because when the crude price cools down, we will be better off than them. Theirs is not only a crude price problem. They printed a lot of money. They sort of threw money at the problem, COVID problem. And that has caught up. When you throw money, initially you will have growth because people's contracts are indexed to nominal prices. Your salaries. In the US, for example, everyone expected 2% increase in salary. Now, when there is so much money, if wages don't go up, you can hire more workers. Right? Because workers are not thinking about future inflation. They are hung up on the current wage. But sooner or later, they realize that they are being cheated. That means they are not able to consume as much of goods and services as before. And they raise their expectation. That is what is happening now. And if you don't control at this stage, it will spiral out of control. Then it's like Venezuela. I'm not saying US is anywhere close to that. US is doing the right thing. That to contain this inflation expectation, you have to sort of prick the balloon yourself, create a recession. There is no other option. And by increasing interest rate, they're creating it. And if they create recession, goods for demand for our goods will go down, and that's why exports will suffer. But having said that, I would also like to point out another possibility, that if they get into cost cutting mode, our IT may benefit. They may increase outsourcing. So I can't rule that out also. So net still it will be a minus.
So it's not all negative as of now.
No, not all negative as of now. No, it's not at all negative. From India point of view, it's extremely positive. But I've seen these days commentators, it used to be extreme negative commentary about India. Now you also have a class of commentators, experts, who talk as if nothing can go wrong. That also worries me. There is no situation where nothing can go wrong.
Yeah,
Things can go wrong from, even when you need 2 runs from 1 over, 3 wickets in hand.
Yeah,
Things
don't
can
talk
go
about
wrong.
cricket, sir. I'm in depression right now.
Things can go wrong. So it's not time to be complacent while appreciating our efforts. I'm very positive, but not in that camp which believes that we have conquered all issues and
No,
all
of
that.
course not.
Yeah.
And the inflation that you said, our 7% and their 7-8% is not the same thing.
Yes.
Our is mostly due to the Ukraine war, which has skyrocketed the whole crude prices, and it has come down slightly, but not enough. So if our problem is not that big in that sense, but like they printed a lot of money during COVID times, and they gave checks. So what steps, for example, that we are not in such a bad condition as them, that we have to actually artificially create the recession, right? That is actually what they're trying to do by increasing the interest rates.
Yes, that's right.
So what did we do right from the policy point of view compared to the developed world?
Okay, so again, I divide my response into 2 parts, I'll take some more time than what you may have reserved for this question. One is in the short run as a COVID response, right? Obviously, we did things differently, and now it's sort of well known. One big difference is we gave food instead of money, and directly gave it to the needy instead of giving checks. Because experience has, although people say DBT is most efficient and all that, yes, from a corruption point of view, it is. But a lot of times, I have looked at data. For example, during elections times when people get money, most of the money goes to liquor and pan, and in NSSO they have all this pan and gutka and all consumption. And many of the times when cash transfers happen, there is this conspicuous consumption that goes up. So directly giving food to the needy and delivering it, that's I think is a standout thing as far as India is concerned. Second thing is the way they used guarantees. See, one of the things during a crisis is people are fearful. Banks are not willing to lend. In the US in 2008 crisis, Fed reduced interest rate to almost 0%.
Yeah.
But what the banks did and increased their balance sheet from 800 billion to 4 trillion. This is 2008 crisis. Banks were flush with so much money, but they did not lend. 2 reasons. One is interest rates were almost 0. And second reason is they were afraid. What if we get into similar trouble? So what they did, that's a kind of market failure. When market freezes, intelligently our policymakers designed guarantee schemes. So what guarantee does to a lender, and gave it to NBFCs, banks and all, it takes away that fear because government is backing. So that prevented that complete seizure of credit markets. Otherwise, during COVID, credit markets would have completely ceased. So they gave a short-term relief to borrowers, where if you don't pay during COVID crisis, your loan will not be considered an NPA. Although, and they kept adding interest. I know many people won't like it, but as a researcher, I'll say it was a good thing. And then similarly, they gave incentives to banks and other lenders to lend by giving a guarantee. So that prevented complete seizure of credit market, kept credit flow going. Now our credit growth rate we are back to 12-15% from almost 0%. Even before COVID, we had reached 2-3% credit growth. These 2 things are very different when it comes to India compared to other countries. This is a short term. Now, but again, I don't fall into the cheerleader camp because of one more reason. to say that India is doing better only because of what we did during COVID. Today, if you read a lot of views that support the government, focus is only on this COVID management. That's totally wrong. Same set of people who say that UPA 1 benefited because of Vajpayee reforms. There you understand the logic that economic growth has lagged and all that. You should also understand Modi 1 did a lot of fundamental reforms which created a lot of pain in the short term. GST, IBC, RERA, DBT, you can go on, infrastructure building, auctions of natural resources, attack on black money, UPI, everything was these fundamental, like Vajpayee reforms had a lag, which a lot of government supporters immediately say. Modi 1 reforms also had a lag. They are manifesting now. So if you carefully see, I would say one of the reasons for growth is those fundamental reforms. They take 3-4 years to manifest and they're showing up now. So it's not just what India did during COVID. What India did before that slew of reforms where Jaitley became a villain, right? So those are also, people have completely forgotten Jaitley. If he had not brought fiscal deficit to 3%,
imagine what
would have happened
in COVID
now.
time.
What would have happened if he had made 8% then only?
Yeah.
So
I think it was 6%
during
before
Jaitley?
Before him.
Before him,
2014.
it was 5-6%.
Yeah.
But that was fraudulent because
it was much higher.
It was much higher because oil bonds. You don't consider Food Corporation of India debt. Below the and the way it was achieved was cut capital expenditure. You should look at budgets of 12-13 and 13-14. Complete fraud. What they used to do, they would have a capital expenditure target, revenue expenditure target, and a deficit target. By February, stop capital expenditure. Don't make roads, don't make anything. To achieve this fiscal deficit number, they used to cut down on capital expenditure. So if you go back to 12 and 13, and I advise your viewers also to do this, look at the budget estimates. Budget estimate is the estimate which is done 1 year before. Then revised estimate, that comes after the year. And then there is a final spending which comes next year.
Actuals.
You find capital expenditure in the budget estimate some big number, 25% lower in the revised estimate, another 10% lower. So that is how even the 5-6%.
Totally fudged.
Yeah. So finally it came to 4.5% projected. So 4.9 was the year before, 13-14. But that is how it was achieved. But Jaitley actually brought it to 3.3% without cutting capex. So that was a big difference. So that gave this fiscal space. Although he became a villain and people
were like fiscal fundamentalist and whatnot.
Yeah, but that gave the space for doing this. Today, same people who are calling Jaitley as fiscal fundamentalist, they say we did the right thing, we did not throw money and all that. How did the space get created? So I think, if you ask me, I don't have data on this. 75% of the reasons why we're better is those reforms. And 25% is COVID management. That's what I would say. But what I see in the press, even those who support the government, as if everything is because of COVID management. So that I feel, as if it's saying GST, IBC and all didn't matter at all.
Right now, I mean, you talked about GST. Let's talk about that for a moment, because there was this 43rd council meeting recently in May, I think. And there is a huge concern. I think when the GST came out, I also, though I am not an expert on this thing, but from what I read, it seemed like that one big thing that we were doing wrong was that we were kind of penalizing the producer states. For example, when the regime that changed in tax collection was basically where the producer states, rather than taxing the products at that and giving that state the benefits, we taxed it at not production but at consumption. For example, Maharashtra se kuch ban ke aaya and it getting sold in Bihar, and then Bihar ko wo milega. Consumption based tax. That is a huge concern for the leading manufacturing states. For example, Gujarat ho gaya, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu raised a huge concern. So to compensate that, they brought GST compensation cess for 5 years. Then the COVID hit, the fiscal management of the states went for a toss. Now there is a huge demand that it should be extended further. Now it seems कि करना चाहिए because like you gave them a bad deal to convince them to get on board of GST reform. How do you see this? Because fundamentally it even incentive wise, right? Economics में incentives तो like basic thing कि अगर आप ज़्यादा इंसेंटिव दोगे तो ज़्यादा प्रोडक्शन होगा. सिमिलरली जीएसटी में भी अगर आप प्रोडक्शन स्टेट्स को अगर आप इंसेंटिव दोगे, दे माइट प्रोड्यूस मोर, राइट? दे आर द मेन ड्राइवर्स ऑफ द इकोनॉमी. ठीक है, सो एटलीस्ट सम बैलेंस शुड बी देयर. सो हाउ डू यू सी दिस डिमांड ऑफ कंजम्पशन कंसेशन एंड दिस सेस दैट दे आर डिमांडिंग दैट इट शुड बी एक्सटेंडेड?
Sure.
कंपनसेशन सेस, सॉरी.
पहले what I think is करना नहीं चाहिए.
नहीं बढ़ाना चाहिए.
Let me tell you the reasons why. First of all, it was legitimate in 2014 or even before. And I'm not saying it just because Modi ji raised this objection. Not just Modi ji, it's Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra. Maharashtra that time was Congress government. And all of them raised the objection. The issue, as you rightly said, GST mein the tax collection happens in places where item gets consumed. The main issue is interstate trade. What is produced inside the state and consumed there is no problem. So there used to be a central sales tax, and that got merged with the GST. These producer states used to get that revenue, and that was their concern. And for that, the way Jaitley ji convinced them was, I am giving you a 14% nominal growth guarantee, and and these states agreed that they will get. Now see what has been the experience. Before answering the question, do you really think over the last 5 years, Karnataka, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu have lost out on GST? You know, Karnataka gets 9,000 crore. Maharashtra does
No, I think more.
Per month.
No,
Per month.
It's more, I think.
No,
9,000.
Yeah, 9,000. Out of
Who is getting the 19,000?
Maharashtra.
Maharashtra,
Yeah,
okay.
18,000 crore is Maharashtra.
Okay.
Gujarat and Karnataka get 9,000.
Mm-hmm.
UP gets 6,000. Bihar has not. If that was true, all taxes should have gone to Bihar. You know, they are languishing.
No, of course, the consumption prowess is also linked to that.
So you can't consume if you don't see.
Yeah.
People don't understand. If you don't produce, how do you consume?
Yeah.
So all consumption.
No, that's a very good point.
So
actually.
wherever.
So I was wrong.
So consumption is higher in Bangalore than in Patna.
Yeah.
Even consumption.
True. Yeah.
So that's not true. I know there could be some immigration and people come and take during festivals and spend something, but you'll spend 80% in where you are. So data does not support this view that these people are losing. Now they don't have an excuse to say we'll lose out.
But have we looked at the growth that they were having year on year?
Yes.
And now?
Yes.
During the
yes, tremendous.
So
growth.
no loss.
Except some standout performers like Orissa, for example. Orissa has been outstanding performer on a lot of fronts. You know, if you see one of the very well managed states in India right now, you know, I would point out is Odisha. Right? Other than that, states like Bengal or Kerala, for example. Kerala gets more or less GST than Jharkhand. You know, they neither produce nor I don't know what they do. So it is not that these well-managed states have not benefited. They have actually benefited from GST. Their growth has increased. But this 14% guarantee adds such a huge burden on the central government.
I think they will have to borrow 1.5 lakh crores.
Yes, that was during COVID crisis. Even normal times. The problem with that is you can never bring down GST rate. You can never bring down this cess. The extra cess. You know, last time we were discussing that car issue. Why do we pay half of our car prices tax? Because central government is not paying from, finance minister is not giving from her pocket. So she will have to charge on something else. So entire country will have to bear the price for giving this guarantee. I think stabilization 5 year, that was the promise. Central government did not promise beyond 5 years. They agreed. And I think they should stop at 5 years. And GST collections are at record highs. It's far more than anybody would have thought of. You know, we are doing 1,40,000 crore month on month, right? Now it's been 4 or 5 months on a trot. It's 1,40,000 crore plus. So I don't see a reason. But then I would also like to point out what the central government should not do, which I fear they will do, is remove the guarantee but keep the cess. Why did you impose the cess? Because you have to give a guarantee. It's like insurance.
So basically, if you are doing away with the guarantees to these states,
take away the cess.
Yeah.
That's not going to
And
happen.
rationalize the rates also.
Yeah, that I don't think is going to happen. I think cess will remain, guarantee will go. So
So
you will
basically
still pay.
दोनों हाथों में लड्डू.
Yes. So एक बार आ गया तो taxes don't go away that easily,
Yeah.
except the corporate tax cut, which I appreciate.
There is
a lot.
nothing so permanent as a temporary government
Yes,
program
yeah.
or let's
That's
say tax.
Absolutely, Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
So that's my fear. I think which is likely to happen,
Hmm.
and we can't do much about it.
But can they do something with the rates?
They may do something. They may use it at the right time, but in the short run, I don't think, because what has happened because of subsidy bill has gone up substantially. Our food subsidies anyway, because of that Garib Kalyan Yojana, that is at very high levels. Urea, I think government in the budget put 1 lakh crore, they have to spend 1.5 lakh crores.
Yeah, I think due to the international prices. Yeah.
So it is not, again a lot of cheerleaders of government.
And they have cut the this thing. Oil taxes also.
Oil taxes also.
So that will be a huge 1.5 lakh crores.
So it is not as if India has not splurged money. So when we criticize developed countries for throwing cash, we are also subsidizing oil, we are subsidizing urea, we are doing all this. So but tax collection has been really, really good. So that's why I said it is not that only these of course in 2 years we did really, really well. But that fundamental reform that was done in 16, 17, 18 and demonetization, maybe it's paying off because all the digital thing is giving you more information. Right,
I don't believe that, but
so no. So
I mean, UPI, for example, it came before COVID. I mean, no, not before COVID, before demonetization, and it is one of the best systems that we have. I mean, unparalleled in the world.
Yes.
We should export it to all the countries. It is that good. But do you think that without demonetization, this UPI and this, because this is such a good system, do you think it would not have taken off without demonetization?
I don't know. So,
or we have to, even for example, let's say that it would not have taken off. The loss that we took because of demonetization in terms of lower growth or whatever that you feel, what is your analysis?
Okay.
So is that like, kya hai, trade-off kya hai?
Okay. So let's answer that question first. How much is the loss we suffered? There is a Geeta Gopinath and co-authors have worked on this. There's a top
IMF,
journal. Yeah, she's in IMF, but it's published in one of the topmost journals in economics.
You co-published with her?
No, I have not.
Okay.
So Quarterly Journal of Economics. It got published. You know what they estimate? The growth decline was maximum 1 quarter. By 2 quarters after demonetization, we were back. So because of demonetization, we did not suffer any kind of crazy loss in growth. Because the point is, the Pani Puri person did not forget how to make Pani Puris. That's where you lose growth. Money came back in 2 quarters. He started doing his business, and so it is a myth that on an average, of course, some people have suffered. That's possible. On an average, we had a big growth loss because of demonetization. That is definitely not true. Now, your second question, whether digitization would have happened without demonetization, unfortunately, I have to say I don't know, because I need a counterfactual. The only way as an empiricist I can study, I need a world with demonetization, without demonetization. And in UPI...
You are not going to get that.
Yeah, UPI in both places. Then only I will be... And similar type. Then only I will be able to credibly tell you
that's true.
But I don't know. So therefore, you and me can have different opinion on this. Because it's conjecture. So there is no way credibly we can study. So I cannot give you a good answer. But economy did not suffer too much because of demonetization. That's what credible studies have shown.
Okay. Coming back to the GST.
Yeah.
What are some reforms that you wish to see in future? Of course, cess ka hai, rates ka rationalization hai. What are the things that you think that government should prioritize?
So one of the, obviously if government, this guarantee and cess should be tied, that should go. And I don't know whether we can do 3 slabs, and people talk about single rate and all that. It's not practical. It's all nice to talk in paper. Singapore has single rate. We are not Singapore. and our consumption.
But wouldn't that make more economic sense? Wouldn't it be so much easier to
Yes,
regulate and
it's
implement?
easy. I agree with that, but it has its costs. You should think about the political costs as well. You can't charge a very
So
high.
that's a political thing, not
That's
a
economically,
economically.
yes, of course. If you just go by economic argument, right? There is merit in saying that items which are consumed by the poor, you can't charge at the same rate for items that not so poor consume. There should be at least 2 or 3. It makes sense. But right now we have 5, 6, 7 kinds of rates. So we can't go to single rate. That I don't see. But 2 or 3 should be okay. Second is, if possible, if we should bring crude and all those things which are left out, oil and things like that, because that they have become political tools. Some states increase, some states, whole idea of GST is one market. But now we know that crude oil price, petrol and diesel are different in different states, and people are crossing border and buying from Karnataka border to Telangana and things like that. These are all inefficiencies. So they should try to bring in real estate, oil and all kinds of stuff into the GDP, into GST. And obviously, like any other taxpayer, I would also hope that rates will come down, especially with the corporate tax experience. Corporate taxes have gone up significantly. So this bureaucratic way of estimating losses, bureaucratic way is, I have cut tax by so much percent. Last year so much was tax, uska itna percent. So this year I will lose so much. That's how they present. They present in a budget. But tax cuts can lead to higher taxes. Is what this corporate taxes has shown. This year our total expected corporate tax collection is 7 lakh crore. I think we have already done 4 lakh crore. I think we may do 8 or 9 lakh crore. And this is at this lower rates. So
so-called lower rate. Which by the way is being said to be some political parties, and I'm going to name one, Aam Aadmi Party specifically has been running a campaign that मोदी ने अपने दोस्तों को कितने लाख करोड़ का गिफ्ट दे दिया है, कॉरपोरेट का कम कर दिया, और ये इतनी बड़ी रेवड़ी, बेसिकली प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने वो रेवड़ी वाला जो कमेंट मारा था कि ये रेवड़ी देने का हमारे देश में कल्चर चल गया. सो दे रिस्पॉन्डेड कि आपने तो कॉरपोरेट टैक्स कम करके इनको रेवड़ी दे दिया है.
कहाँ है रेवड़ी?
Yeah, that's what
5 lakh crore was Modi ji collecting before this. Now he collects 8 lakh crores. Very
so basically वो रेवड़ी मिल रही है सरकार को
मिल रही है. रेवड़ी is going to सरकार because see, going by that argument, in 1970s our marginal tax rate was 97%. You know that.
Yes.
Tax
Indira
to
Gandhi.
GDP ratio was 2%. That means if you force me to pay 97%, I am willing to go to jail to avoid that tax. कुछ भी करो, क्या कर लोगे? Right? So nobody will pay tax. That's a reality. We are not a Scandinavian country with a uniform set of people, some 50 lakh people, where everybody has income and you can collect taxes. We are not. This is a country of 140 crores. And mind you, there are very few people who talk about this inequality. They forget to tell you that almost all your taxes are paid by those 1%. Like you say, all your income, all your naregas and everything is coming from that same 1% you villainize every day. So how much you will squeeze them, right? So I think this is a right step, and there is no revdi here, because what matters to you is how much money has come. So if those people who are criticizing were in power, if they had taken this from 35 to 45, instead of 9 lakh crore, we would have got 3 lakh crore today. So that is revdi, because then you can charge 45% and go to a corporate and tell the person, give me some bribe, and then I will not do anything.
True.
Right? So those people who call this a revdi want that culture, where you raise the rate, then you go ask for a bribe and settle it, within government. That is revdi. In fact, on tax front, what these people have done is now assessment is faceless. So like your 10th standard exam, your paper, you don't know which teacher will evaluate, right? That's how your board exams happen.
True.
Now the assessment, your return can go to somebody sitting in Calcutta. Officer said he or she has no clue who you are. So there is no question of even talking and settling and things like that. So there is if you ask actual taxpayers, they will actually cry with this. It's not Revadi, on the other hand, taking too much from them.
So how they decreasing the tax, how that increase the revenue for the government?
In two ways, right? One is a direct way. When you evade tax, just think about rationally. There is a cost of evading tax also, because you may be caught, and these days ED, CBI is everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you have to think and plan. You need to hire consultant and all that, pay them also. Then pay tax. Now, when the tax is 90%, you're willing to do anything to save tax. But if the tax rate is 17.5 or 22.5 or 25, you will realize instead of taking all these costs and risk, better pay this tax, right? That's one way a lot of people who are not paying tax will start paying. The second, which I find in a paper, that you have more surplus to invest and your investment goes up. When your investment goes up, your income goes up and you will pay tax. So both ways. So one is through by which is like a supply side thing.
I have always wondered whether there is a Laffer curve for taxes.
There is. So India is definitely not. The debate there on the Laffer curve is whether you are on this side of the curve or that side of the curve. So there are countries, and even Nobel laureates cite US research, where in the US, for example, there is no evidence no credible evidence. Evidence is mixed whether tax cuts are really helpful, because these inefficiencies are less there. Here, that's not the case. Here, it's very clear. 96, when one of the very few things that I really like what Chidambaram did is the clean 30-20-10. That happened in 96. That was one of the fundamental reforms. That increased tax collection. So here, the evidence is very clear. Whenever you reduce tax rate, taxes collections have gone up, investments have gone up, and that has led to more taxes, not less taxes.
Is there like a certain tax rate at which that you get more taxes, but below that it's not that much subsidy?
Theoretically, there is, but practically in India, nobody has estimated that exact point. That's very hard. But at least where we are right now, we are definitely not at a place where if you reduce taxes, your tax collection will go down. I think your question on GST, I think GST also tax collections will go up
if we reduce the taxes.
Yes.
So GST में when we talk about 3 rates, right? एक 5%, एक 15%, एक whatever 30%.
Yeah.
Right. The usual thing is like you will have to merge the 12% and 18%.
Right.
Now 18% to 15% seems okay. But when you increase the tax for 12%, which has a lot of things there, like huge bracket, right? When you increase so much money, so much tax on those 12% bracket things, wouldn't that be a huge thing? Because even when the GST came, that 12% was an increase already. I think services पे थोड़ा increase हुआ था. That was the thing.
Yeah.
So how do we figure this out?
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's not as simple as it's made out to be. You can't just reduce the rates. It may end up increasing the rates. If more consumption is happening at 12%, increasing the rate, then why 15? Get the 18 to 12. So I'm reasonably sure, because see, one reform, where, and just go back to 2019, there was some positivity for a month, and then look at the commentary. Economy kept going down, and market Nifty had fallen below 10,000. The same Nifty which is touching 18,000 with all this. So the negativity went down with this tax cut. That was the trigger. If there was no COVID, it would have been so clean. You would have seen a clean recovery from there. Unfortunately, COVID stuck, and
maybe we should go for another tax cut.
Yeah. So the reason why it was taken so positively by everyone, because it was clean and it was meaningful from 35, 36 to 25, and clean without adding too many surcharges, or only this guy gets that, except that new manufacturing firm that
there were no terms and conditions that usually translate into effective tax rate.
Yeah, very high.
Yeah.
It was very clean. She said 22% translates into 25.16%. That's it. You read fine print, whatever print you want. So if I would actually think, bring 18 to 12, forget this complication. I don't think.
Maybe increase the 5 to 6, 12, 18. You can do that.
Yeah, I don't think we will.
Even 30%, sir. It's the thing on cars.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrendous.
But that is guarantee.
Yeah.
That's the insurance premium.
Even if the guarantee goes, we are not guaranteed about that.
No, I am guaranteed that it is not going. Because that's like, you give it up.
Yeah.
Then you'll have to find some source. So that's my fear.
I actually feel that if you decrease those cess and you decrease the tax on cars, like right now we are at a situation that more people will buy cars, right? But this tax thing is a huge thing, and we are getting basically so much unsafe cars for that much after paying so much of this, and you pay 20 lakhs and the car is like not worth 10 lakh rupees. Yes. That is the thing.
Yeah. So I know you're passionate. You may be very passionate about cars.
Yeah, because I had to pay for this bloody this thing.
I totally sympathize with you.
Yeah. You had to also pay for it.
I'm also a victim of that. But then, but I don't see that happening because when people get some taxes that get collected, it's a very formal sector. You can't evade this, right? It's so easy for them to collect. You don't need to go after them, raid them and all that.
Yeah, but if you look at the manufacturing sector, it's a huge portion of total manufacturing, the car manufacturing, automobile manufacturing. I think that's 40-50%. That's huge. If you just focus on that, your manufacturing thing, this sector can really go for big boost.
Yeah, I agree. So that's why I said they should remove the guarantee and remove the cess. So both should happen together. And then they'll get political support also. People also realize prices are coming down. But I fear that guarantee will go, cess will remain.
It's very surprising that the government is not using it in a political manner. For example, as you said, कि हम सेस घटा देंगे या रेट्स घटा देंगे जीएसटी के. See, every state और every other opposition party protested that इन्होंने पनीर पे भी जीएसटी लगा दिया, दूध पे भी जीएसटी लगा दिया, everything. तो 0% से 5% वाला. But why the government is not saying, see, हम इनको compensation cess दे रहे हैं, इनको कोई मिलने का आधार नहीं है. There is no justification to give compensation cess to these states. But if we give them, we can't reduce your
because
taxes.
The compensation cess, government knows that tax growth will be 14% anyway.
Yeah.
So compensation.
Why they are not using it as a political argument?
No. See that. Look at this. If state tax during COVID it was a bad year. Now GST will grow at 14% anyway for all states. Then you don't have to give them compensation.
Yes.
You collect the tax and keep it. Why do you want to give up on that? So it's like you will not. It's just like because of inflation. It's a nominal thing. You remember. Now that inflation has gone up, 14% तो ऐसे ही हो जाएगा. Tax is nominal. Whatever may be the real growth. If inflation is 7-8%, real growth with 6-7% also, all states will grow 14%. So then you are collecting insurance premium, but there are no claims.
True.
Why do you want to give up that? So then you can use it for something else. So you are Revadi in your language.
Yeah. So the Revadi thing, there's a lot of things that I want to unpack there. Because the huge debate going on for the last couple of months. It all started with the Punjab situation, right? Aam Aadmi Party won in Punjab and they had announced so many freebies that the state is already at 3 lakh crores of debt.
Yes.
Right. And it's crazy. Even the electricity subsidy alone is going to cost them 12 to 15,000 crore. That's on paper.
That's right.
Right. If they include the real cost, for example, as you said, budget estimate. So that is going to be huge.
And the real actual defined benefit pension also.
Yeah. I mean, they are considering it. But even without that, it's crazy. That they have not even completed that promise of 1,000 check per month.
Okay.
Giving 1,000 to every adult woman in Punjab. That's crazy. That's easily around 20,000 crores, another 20,000 crores, even higher. And they are adding more people who are contractual employees that were actually saving the salary bill. Now they are putting around 36,000 people on permanent payrolls. So their salary bill will increase. And on top of that, they are saying we are going to implement the old pension scheme.
Yeah.
So basically, the road to bankruptcy for Punjab that was going to happen in say 10 years,
Right.
they have put it on full accelerator.
Yeah.
Now, in context of that, there were some bureaucrats, some prominent personalities that started raising this question that ये रेवड़ी का जो है सब्सिडी का जो कल्चर है this is going to have a Sri Lanka like situation for many states, and that at that time Sri Lanka was in the news, so that was the reference given. Punjab certainly that almost at 50% of GDP they are
53.
53, huge. And there were other states also, I think Bengal was also there. So in context of this, the Prime Minister made a remark about the Revadi thing, that ये रेवड़ी का कल्चर खराब है. But see, रेवड़ी मतलब subsidy. Everybody, every government, whenever, yeah, and then आम आदमी पार्टी used that thing to देखो हमको हम अच्छा करना चाहते हैं, हम लोगों के लिए फ्री बिजली दे रहे हैं, तो क्या गलत है जी बताओ, हैं मतलब आपको बेनिफिट ही तो कर रहे हैं, क्या गलत है उसमें. Then they started a negative campaign that
Loan write-off.
लोन राइट ऑफ दे दिया आपने 10 लाख करोड़. सो देयर वर टू फिगर्स. 5 लाख करोड़ आपने कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स घटा के उन लोगों को दे दिया, 5 लाख करोड़ का. सी विद आम आदमी पार्टी यू हैव टू बी वेरी लिबरल विद द फैक्ट्स, सो दे डोंट एंगेज इन फैक्ट्स, they are just usually run in narratives. So उन्होंने 2 नैरेटिव चलाया कि एक 5 लाख करोड़ का कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स का कम करके आपने रेवड़ी दे दिया अपने यार दोस्तों को, एंड देन 10 लाख करोड़ का ये जो लोन राइट ऑफ किया है आपने अपने यार दोस्तों का, जो आपके बिजनेसमैन दोस्त हैं उनका, तो ये दोस्तवाद है. सो दिस इज द नैरेटिव दैट वाज ना. या सो एक उन्होंने बोला कांग्रेस परिवारवाद करता है, ये दोस्तवाद करते. सो वी आर एट दिस पॉइंट. यू एक्सप्लेन टू मी दैट हाउ कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स कट्स these are not revenues at all. In fact, corporate tax rates cuts have increased the
2 to 3 lakh crores.
by 2 to 3 lakh crores in 1 year.
2 years.
2 years.
Because if you leave out that 1 year, there was a decline. COVID,
Yeah,
you know,
because of
whatever you
COVID.
would have done.
Yeah.
Post-COVID, I'm saying. If you
Yeah.
take pre-COVID and post-COVID.
That's huge. And then second, I want to understand from this, because I am sick and tired of people calling loan write-offs as loan waivers. Okay, when you loan write-off का मतलब मेरे को समझा दीजिए या हमारे व्यूअर्स को कि क्या होता है ये, क्या ये सच में रेवड़ी है या नहीं है, क्या है.
So I'm glad you asked this question. You know, I have these problems in my class also. You know, very surprising, because I don't expect this to come in an MBA class. See, in accounting, you're trained to be conservative. When you do accounting, the main principle is conservatism. That means expect all possible losses as if they're going to happen. That's how you do accounting. Not that it has to happen. Now let's see Indian banking situation. And we last time we discussed it a lot. But let's this time start from 2017-18 when the banking crisis peaked. We had NPAs of nearly 11.5 lakh crores. Total
This was in 2017,
which was accumulated over the period of time. Its value, after they did the asset quality review, they came to know the total NPAs was 11.5 lakh crores. And this was mostly lent during 8 to 14. That I explained last time, you know, forbearance and all that. Now you have 11.5 lakh crore. Now what happened? And as a percentage, in public sector banks, it was around 14.5%. So their capital is 12-13%, 14.5% bad debts. They were actually all gone and dead by that time. Had they not been government banks,
intervention,
you know, you would have had all these banks closing down. What is the fact now? Out of the 11 lakh crore of NPA, now currently the NPA right now is 7.4% from 14 for government, from 14.4-14.5%. It is
so basically slashed to half.
That's one. What has happened to that 11 lakh crore NPA which was there? They have recovered 6,44,000 crore already. Out of that 11 lakh. So crore NPA, 6 lakh, and it's never happened 60% recovery already, and other things are going on. Now let's address this question of write-off. This is NPA. NPA is not full write-off. NPA is that you're calling a loan as a, when it's due more than 90 days, you are creating a provision for that loan. that this is in trouble. Write-off is in books, quote unquote. I again say in books, you are treating as if this is not coming. Only in books. You don't lose the right to collect these loans. From the return of loans, they have collected 1,24,000 crore already. Out of the 6,44,000 they collected, 1,24,000 has come back from return of loans. Do you see what? If it was all Revadi, where did you get this 1,24,000 crore from? So when a bank writes off a loan, it's only an accounting entry following principle of conservatism. In fact, it's a good thing. In banking, we have this provision coverage ratio. How much of your actual debt you already sort of provided for? That means you've taken it out of profits as if it's not coming.
So that you can take into the future accounting that we have this much room to lend.
Yes, fantastic. That's what it is. It used to be 40% up to 2014. Do you know how much it is now? 86%. That means 86% of these low NPAs have already been provided. अगर जो 7.2% में ₹1 भी नहीं आएगा, even then banks are fine because they have already taken a hit on their profit. So writing off, providing is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Any sensible person who has some understanding of banking should be happy that banks are transparently creating provisions and writing off on time. The problem is if they give up on collecting, like they did in 8, 10, 14. So has that happened? No. 12,000 borrowers have been considered willful defaulters. 98.5% of the cases are going on. 40% have been charge sheeted. Criminal cases are going on out of those willful borrowers. This has never happened. So saying that Indian banking, there has been a Revadi, it's totally nonsensical. There is no evidence whatsoever. If at all anything, sometimes I feel I don't like these 40% criminal cases because a lot of times default could have been genuine. In fact, I find it's too much, right? So this one number that 86% of the NPAs have already been provided, you can say, look, 86% of the NPAs is gone. No, it's not. It's gone. You have been prudent. What it means is your banks will survive even if they go. That's how they do their accounting. Their current set of numbers reflect the possibility that even if that 86% of this 7 lakh doesn't come in, they will be fine, 7 lakh crore. That time they used to, provision coverage ratio used to be 30-40%. So when that means they were behaving as if 60% is going to come but not collecting. Now government, banks are collecting 60-70% of the NPAs but accounting as if it's not coming. So it's only an accounting entry. When you say write-off, it's just an accounting entry. Bank does not lose. A borrower cannot say, see, when is the Revadi? Suppose I write off your account. If that gives you a right to ask for a waiver, can you go to a court of law when I file a case against you? So, इसने तो मेरा loan write off कर दिया है, तो I don't have to pay. You don't get that right.
Yeah.
Court will laugh at you. That's my accounting. If that gives you a right to claim a waiver, then it's a Revadi. It gives you no right whatsoever. It's just that I want to present to my investors a conservative set of accounting. I don't want to show them a rosy picture and then disappoint them. So prudently writing off, creating provisions gives a very conservative picture so that you can surprise them on the upside. That is why bank index is one of the best performing indices in this stock market rally. It's at almost all-time highs. Look at every bank stock. It's going up like crazy. SPI is where it's 2.5-3 times its book now. So that's one of the reasons bank stocks are going up. Investors love this. In fact, when you announce more provisions and write-off, if investors think they are conservative, their stock price actually goes up, not going down. So calling banking a Revadi is goes against any accepted economic logic. It has no economic logic.
But there is a political logic. So as you understand, I told you, the narratives. So the whole thing, the write-off and NP is also different.
Yes.
So how much of that is write-off?
Okay. So
out of that 11 lakh crores.
So around 2.5 lakh crore. Out of
that's
that,
it.
Yeah. 2.5.
So where this 10 lakh crore written off, it's wrong.
NP itself was 11 lakh crore.
Okay. So they are treating that as...
That's a write-off. So they are using some write-off number. See, the way accounting works is that if 90 days if you don't pay, first of all, if you are paying, you are called a standard asset. After 90 days, you become a substandard asset. So that's called an NPA. After a year, if you're still in default, then you become a doubtful asset. Now, after doubtful asset, then it depends on if the management and the auditors think that there is a low probability of realization from this. It doesn't waive off any right. Then they call it a loss asset.
On their books,
On
but
their
they
books.
will go after your money.
They will go after, they will file charge sheet, they will do everything. And you get no right to say that I can't. See, as a business, I have to estimate, right?
Yeah.
You know, I have to be realistic. I can't.
कि ये नहीं आने वाला
ये नहीं
है,
आने
आ गया तो अच्छा है, नहीं आया तो ठीक है.
इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि I'm going to give up.
Yeah.
So I can't even internally, because I'm on the board of one of the NBFCs, that you can't say that I have written off, so I will not recover. So I will, as an independent director, I will question the management that, you know, why are you not going after this? Then the management cannot tell me that I have written off, so I won't go after this. If I ask why have you not filed a case against borrower A and B, they cannot give me an excuse that, you know, I sit on the audit committee and they can't say that because I have written off, I am not recovering. No, that's not done. So loss asset is this so-called write-off.
So write-off was only around 2.5 lakh crores.
Yeah.
Out of that, we have recovered
1.2 or 1.1 something.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, it's very impressive. That's what I'm saying. So maybe it's around 3 lakh crore because total NPA is 11 lakh crore.
Even then, like 50% almost you have recovered.
Yeah.
The so-called written off.
No. Banking in the last 2 years in India has seen a miraculous recovery. That's what stock prices are reflecting.
So we should invest in bank stocks.
Maybe you are already late because stocks have gone up substantially. But if at all there is one area, you know, last time I was crying that banking requires more reforms, if you remember.
Yeah.
But now I see that at least this cleanup part, I still feel governance needs to improve. Bank governance, at least PSUs, there is substantial scope for improvement. That they've done nothing on that front. I still have that grouse. But in terms of NPA management, it's fabulous. And I told you that forbearance also, the way RBI managed, they did not keep it for 7-8 years. 6 months they gave one extension and took it away. So I think if you call PM Kisan as Revadi, I will accept. It is a Revadi. Again, not calling it a Revadi is also a mistake.
Yes.
It is a Revadi.
Agree.
You can give any kind of excuse.
Narega is a Revadi.
Narega is a Revadi.
But थोड़ा सा कम Revadi है वो.
Not during COVID times.
Yeah.
See, COVID times do it. See, my definition of a Revadi is anything that disincentivizes work. In my book, I'll call it a Revadi.
तो ये बिजली पे 300 यूनिट फ्री रेवडी
because you don't have to earn. So
1000 रुपए हर adult woman को रेवडी.
Total रेवडी. Whereas if I give gas connection where it was not there, you know, bring electricity to your village, bring water to your village.
Those are not, of course.
Those are not. These are
building roads.
These are market failures in somebody. This is like infrastructure. Someone has to address. So we have to be clear. Not everything, and there is a time for AFD also. During like COVID, you have to give. You know, where will the poor?
And
go?
there is also a difference. Like the government model, like Modi's model, is not AFD exclusive, right? No. They do 50 or 50 different things on infrastructure. For example, ये road बनाना हुआ या gas cylinder देना है, घर बनाना है, these things. And then they will announce on top of that during elections all this Revadi also. So there is a Revadi also.
Yes.
But there are some parties who are only surviving on Revadis.
Yeah.
That like manifesto में देखोगे top 5 big points Revadis. So that difference we have to factor in.
I think when you brought up Punjab, I did not answer this question. You brought up reference to Sri Lanka also.
Yeah.
There's one crucial difference between Sri Lanka and Punjab or any other state. States cannot print notes. So there is no question of, this is a very false comparison a lot of people are doing, that state debt will make India Sri Lanka. No. What it will do is, it will impose enormous costs on the people of that state. Reason being,
I doubt it, because the center will have to pay for it.
No.
So it will kind of impose a whole cost on the country.
No. So center will not pay that easily.
I mean,
let's
not easily, but what will you do when they hold you to ransom?
No, let's not have this.
They say that it's a border state, it will go into crisis. What will you do? It will be a terrorism phase again.
Like IMF, center also will impose. For example, during COVID, there are a lot of things that center is doing, which are good things. When they allowed states to borrow more, they said, look, we have our 4 reforms. You have to do 2 of them. Right? One ration, one pension, electricity reform, or local panchayat, give more resources. So center will not do it without imposing very stringent conditions. So even when they have to bail out. So and they have become really tough. Power reforms, I was talking to you before the show, how tough they have become. So it is not that they will, these guys can keep borrowing and center will bail them out. But people of the state will
how they will face the problem.
Because there will not be money to pay salary bills. Suppose if central government tomorrow.
That's happening already.
It will happen in a big way.
Yeah, I think for the first time, the government employee salary was delayed for a week.
It will be delayed for a month now.
Yeah.
Or even more. Because if you cannot print notes, at least Sri Lanka, why it got into such a big mess is
they kept delaying the
and you can print notes. And in their case, because their debt was external, they got a hit. Because even if they printed their currency, there is no way they could have paid external debt. But if their debt was internal, they could have stretched this a little bit longer and inflation would have come up. So central can do that. Central can print notes. States cannot. So if you are 53% debt and if you have 5% fiscal deficit, and if you keep increasing and adding to debt, all your tax revenue will go for interest payments. Right? You have to pay interest on this debt.
True.
Mind you, if your Punjab state GST is 5.5 lakh crores, if your debt is 3 lakh crore, and if you have to pay, and state government, if you have to pay 7.5%, 25,000 crore will go in.
That's already the case.
In interest payments. If it becomes 54,
you have nothing left basically.
So
around 80 to 85% of the money is going into salaries, pensions, and interest payment, repayment.
So there will be a time when interest payment will be, because you can't escape that interest payment. You can't default. Then you will have serious consequences. So then,
like literally, you can't do anything.
You can't do anything. You are just pay interest.
You will not be able to make a road.
Yeah, no.
Not a single gali ka road nahi bana paoge.
Nothing. So that's where you get into trouble. Then in kinds of countries, IMF puts restrictions and forces reforms. In case of states, center will have to do it. So I think this cannot go on forever. It's not Delhi. Delhi, mind you, benefits hugely because of GST.
No, not just GST. If you look at the figures of GST, of course, GST made 2016 ke baad, you see the kind of tax jump that has happened. Because everything is here. Like it's a consumption powerhouse.
Yes.
And GST is a consumption-based tax. Nothing gets produced here. Right? It's all consumption. That's so they benefited. I think it jumped from 28,000 crores to something. It's huge. Drastic improvement.
Delhi gets 5,000 to 6,000 crore every month.
Yeah, and on top of that, 8,000 crore that goes for police. The government does not have to pay. Center pays for it.
But they benefit also.
Of course. I'm saying, but it does not. For example, the 6,000-7,000 crores of surplus that this current government shows, that see, hum to itna free bijli bhi de diya, free pani bhi de diya.
They don't have to pay for
police. Police 8,000 crore, 2,000 crore for pensions of government employees of Delhi. That is also being paid by the central.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So 10,000 crore to state ho gaya. So already you are 3,000 crore in already debt. So
Punjab cannot be run like that.
Because Punjab may you have such a huge budget for agriculture, which you don't have here. It's just urban infra, and urban infra also center pays for it. So all these things we have to consider. None of these conditions apply in any other state.
But it's not going to lead to Sri Lanka. That's the
the pain will be much
lesser.
Not lesser.
No, for the country
immediate.
For the country, it will be lesser.
Country,
for the state, it will be.
No, of course, we are not like it's hyperbole to say that the country will become Sri Lanka, but the state.
There will be trouble.
People in the state will face Sri Lanka-like situation.
Similar, the government will not be able to honor its commitment.
Yes,
that's for sure.
Yeah. We were talking about, for example, reforms, right?
Right.
The so many reforms in Modi 1
Yeah.
that they paid off.
Right.
Modi 2.0 also tried so many reforms.
Yeah.
They managed to push through them in the COVID era. But for example, the farm bills, that did not happen. Huge backlash. And then it seems that there is some apprehension. Maybe I think so. But there is this electricity subsidy reform that we were talking about, that huge potential. It's much needed reform. So now it has been that the bill has been sent to standing committee because all the states objected to it. Now please tell me, what is the reform that the government is trying, the central government is trying in the electricity discoms throughout the country, and why are states objecting to it?
Okay. So I'll tell you the current model of states, what they do, and including all parties.
Slightly close.
Yeah, all party states. It's not just one party or the other.
Whole secular problem.
Yeah, it's a secular problem. All parties, be it Punjab, be it Madhya Pradesh, everywhere. Even states like Karnataka, where I come from, it's with good revenues. So they announce huge subsidies, agricultural and all kinds of power subsidies. And they don't pay that subsidy to their own discoms. Right? They are in Karnataka, for example, there is a MESCOM, there is a HESCOM, and there is a BESCOM. There are 3 discoms in Karnataka: Hubli, Mangalore, and Bangalore. Now, if Karnataka government gives subsidies, so who has to bear that difference between market price and this subsidized price? It should be the government. What you expect is government to pay these people. That's where you should have a person like Arun Jaitley. You will never go wrong on that. So pay those people, fine, no problem. Then they'll be fine. They don't do it. Now these people have to pay to GenCos, generating companies. So where do they get this money from? They borrow. And because they keep borrowing for paying, and that cycle continues, they have accumulated huge debt. I was looking at the numbers. The money that state governments and their subsidy and municipalities owe to discoms in the country is 1.5 lakh crore. And
throughout the country.
Okay. And the debt owed by discoms to all lenders is also 1.5 lakh crores.
So 3 lakh crores.
No, it's same 1.5. So what I'm saying is, if state governments pay whatever they're supposed to pay to discoms, then this problem is solved.
So basically what's happening from what I see is that, जैसे मान लीजिए हमने 300 बिजली फ्री दे दिया, अनाउंस कर दिया, बट 300 बिजली वो डिस्कॉम को बोल दिया कि हाँ भाई तुम सप्लाई करते रहो बिजली, जो खर्चा है वो मैं कभी दूंगा, बाद में दूंगा, लोन ले लो तुम इतने पे कर दो, पर देना तो उसको पड़ेगा, क्योंकि लोन तो वो ले रहा है, तो इंटरेस्ट तो वो भरेगा. So it's a cost on them.
It's a cost on them. So this is a cycle going on in almost every state. This is a kind of a scam.
Yeah.
So the easy solution in books is make the state governments pay to discoms, and discoms can repay their loans, or
कोई तो दिक्कत ही नहीं है.
Overnight this problem can be solved. But ऐसा नहीं होगा, because these people, there is politics that comes in the way. Now what the government has done now, they tried Uday, they tried lot of things. Now this is getting implemented. As I said, I am a part of power sector. So one of the things they have done on discoms is that they have said that if you have dues over a particular period of time, you will not have access to the central power grid. Cut. So if you don't pay, now it's your headache as a state government. Whether you're MP, whether you're UP, whether you're Karnataka, whether you're Punjab, whether you're, I don't care. And they're actually doing it. That's what makes Modi government very different from any other government. One of the state which has maximum problems is Madhya Pradesh. No concession. Elections, Himachal Pradesh, no concession. Elections are just, when we say Modi is very different, same person who has the courage to raise electricity prices before Gujarat election, same person seems to be back now, right? When it comes to power, Himachal Pradesh election is what? How many
2 months ago? 2 months.
No concession to Himachal Pradesh. Nobody, right? So this is one step where now if discoms don't repay their loans or repay their money to generating companies like NTPC, Tata Power and all that, then what will happen is they are cut off from the central power supply. So then either cut power or manage within your state.
So is this condition has been put on the state governments or the discoms?
Discoms, state discoms.
स्टेट डिस्कॉम्स को बोला है कि भैया आप अगर ये डेट मतलब जो आप लिया है ये तब आप क्लियर नहीं करोगे,
फुल नहीं, जो भी ड्यू है
वो आप क्लियर नहीं करोगे. डेट नहीं ऑफ कोर्स
बिल अभी का जो
एवरी मंथ का
मंथ का जो बिल है ना, जो एनटीपीसी को पे करना पड़ेगा और एनी अदर जनरेटिंग कंपनी को, उसको अगर आपने डिले किया तो इतने दिन के बाद आपको पावर नहीं मिलेगा.
मतलब
कैश एंड कैरी
वहां जो स्टेट में है आपका प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी उसमें
उसको ले लो, उसको सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग. बट मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टेट्स
डोंट हैव,
बिकॉज़ कोल दे डोंट डू इट, बिकॉज़ इन समर we don't have hydro power or wind also. We have to depend on coal. Coal comes from central coal India.
तो जो पूरे देश का ग्रिड है उससे आप कट ऑफ
until you pay. इनफैक्ट उसमें भी लेवल्स है. पहला लेवल होगा आपको इतने दिन के लिए कट ऑफ किया जाएगा, उसके बाद लॉन्ग टर्म पे किया तो भी 30, 40, 50 दिन आपको नहीं मिलेगा. अच्छा. Even if you pay. So and the best part is they have implemented 13 discoms have already faced this music. 13 already in the last 1 or 2 months. This is not on paper.
Okay.
This is the first time somebody saying whatever may be the political cost, I'm going to take it and do it. Right? This is amazing reform. Nobody is talking about it. There's another reform they're doing. They are trying to install prepaid meters.
That's I have heard.
Right? Yeah. That's where I was saying Himachal Pradesh. 1.5 lakh meters are getting installed in Himachal Pradesh.
So basically वो फोन के रिचार्ज की तरह हो जाएगा.
अगर नहीं किया तो कट. So this is and separate the electricity grid, agricultural grid separately. So these are two fundamental, and this is actually happening. So they are starting with commercial government, because government is the biggest state government and municipalities are the biggest defaulters, right? They started from there only, and then they're going to commercial. So this is actually happening. If this continues, if this works, I think this is this is a very big reform. The problem is it is not being sold as a GST or IBC, or it doesn't have that catchy title.
But it will have such a tremendous positive impact.
If they can see it through, if that discipline. Now, I would like to add, look at the implementation. They have created a portal where Gencos, generating companies, can put up their invoice and say इनका नहीं आया है, complaint कर सकते हो. मतलब उस power ministry watches that portal. If they see an invoice, इतने दिन हो गया, cut. It's automatic cut. So and now they're taking it like GST. Now both discom and their invoice should match. Because what if generating companies also cheat? So GST में जैसे होता है input and all that. So both of them file their invoice, and if it matches and if they paid, ठीक है. नहीं है तो cut. So this cut I think is going to work, and I hope they will carry it through and
because then the state governments will pay,
otherwise power cut. So power cut, then people will blame you. Can't say Modi nahi de raha and all that. So then the question comes, why? Then this will become public.
They will have to pay
everything.
ऐसा नहीं कर सकते कि हाँ भाई तुम दे दो मैं बाद में देता हूँ.
So then
उधारी खत्म
उधारी and it's happened, including, and the best part is they are not seeing politics at all. As I said, Madhya Pradesh has significant crunch. There is no phone call. Phone banking, as Prime Minister said, is gone. At least on this front. So people say when it comes to ED, they say they don't attack BJP and all that. Maybe that allegation is true. I don't want to comment. But on this, I can tell you there is no politics. It's clean economic reform. And that's why I said, attributing everything to some magic you did during COVID, I think is an understatement.
Yeah.
And there are these kind of reforms that are going on.
Tough problems that the government is trying to crack down on.
Yeah.
Sir, it's so wonderful always talking to you, and last time we had like wonderful conversation, got to learn so much, and this time also fantastic information. You always have such great insights on Indian economy. Next time we hope that we talk about Punjab's financial situation, and one more narrative that I want to talk about is कि जो मोदी गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ है वो कितना सच है कितना झूठ है कि ये सब कुछ बेच रहे हैं that we can talk about in next whenever you come.
नहीं बेच रहे इज माय प्रॉब्लम
हाँ,
बेचना चाहिए
तो मतलब वो लोगों को थोड़ा ये है ना कि सब कुछ बेच दिया, so that is
कुछ भी नहीं बेचा एयर इंडिया को छोड़ के
that is one narrative that we can discuss.
दो बैग बेच एक भी नहीं हुआ अभी तक
तो
anyway,
उसको करेंगे, अभी रात के 12 बजने वाले हैं.
Sure.
So
Thank you.
really wonderful, sir. Please keep coming and keep educating us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.